Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Adam and Chris Show. I'm St. Adam.
And I'm Chris Malice.
And here today we have the End of the Year Awards. Chris, if you could describe 2019 in one word, what would it be?
Yeah, it was kind of a shit show. I mean, there's a lot of good, but it ain't at all universal good.
Right, and that's what we're here to do today.
The highs were high, the lows were low.
So let's get to those highs and lows right now. We're going to start with the movies. Best and worst movie of the year. So, best movie of the year has to be, hands down, drum roll, Chris.
Joker.
Of course it would be Joker. Why not? Chris, why do you feel Joker's the best movie this year?
So I'll say this. It does, as a movie, what I felt Reservoir Dogs was able to do. It's very minimalistic. There's not a whole lot. You don't have gigantic special effects. You don't have gigantic budget for 20 different famous actors and an overbloated cast. It does what it seeks to do. It humanizes Joker to some extent, but also tells you where he strays and he goes bad. It's a great movie for that. It makes people uncomfortable. It addresses mental health issues because they are actual issues. Mm-hmm. I feel it doesn't make him an anti-hero. He's clearly still a villain at the end of it. He crosses many lines. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is amazing. Me and Kane have a bet going on. Joaquin deserves Best Actor for Joker. I don't think he's going to get it because, of course, there was a lot of outcry about the movie. People were saying it was pandering to mass shooters, incels.
But they said this before the movie came out. After the movie came out, a lot of that died down.
It was still pretty fluent. The media were still looking for ways to attack that movie. My thing is this kind of atmosphere with these journalists and that type of stuff. It's very. It reminds me of The Time of Seduction of the Innocent when that book came out. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the religious nuts that basically were going around the pastors saying that if you played blues or you're a blues musician, you were conjuring the devil. It's goofy, and the media pushing that type of shit really should take a good look at itself because the very same First Amendment protection that protects Joker protects a lot of these frauds in the media.
Well, I say it deserves Best Picture because the performances were spot on.
Yes.
It's some of the best acting I've ever seen. Also, it takes its time. It doesn't stray. It could easily have fallen into the trap of let's just put as much crazy shit in there as we can, as fast as we can, and I think you'd lose the narrative that way.
Yes.
And I can tell after I got out of the theater, it made people have the right conversations. When I walked down the theater at the end of the movie, everyone's sitting there talking about red flags, talking about mental health in the right way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it should make people have this discussion, and I'm glad it is. So, hands down, Joker has to be the best movie of 2019.
What's the worst movie of 2019?
On to the worst movie of 2019. And there's been a few contenders. In fact, there was one that I really thought was going to get worst movie this year by us. And then at the last minute, another movie came in and surpassed it.
Wow.
Worst movie of the year, Black Christmas.
Ooh.
And I really, really had looked forward to another Black Christmas. I hated that one that came out in 2006. It's not only one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen, not only the worst remake I've ever seen, it's one of the worst movies overall I've ever seen.
It is a waste of Lacey Chabert.
It is bad. And especially because the first Black Christmas is so good. Mm-hmm. And then they go and this comes out, and here's why. Here's why this is bad. You ever watch any of those films that are obviously written by someone of a conservative nature, and the people that they disagree with are demonized in that film?
So, yes.
Okay. This does that for liberals.
Yeah.
This does that. Oh my gosh, it is not an intelligent movie. It is not. It is, what they did was they tried to write a slasher film for woke college culture and not
And
do
they make it politically correct.
and not do it in a good way, but do it with, your main characters are going to be written intelligently, but they're going to speak in buzzwords, and then your everyone else is just going to be idiot characters. And it's not the right way to do that. They could have really, because I know they wanted to say something about rape culture in college campuses. And they had an opportunity and they didn't do it right. They did not do it in an intelligent manner. In fact, in the third act of this film, they pull a supernatural plot out of the fuck nowhere and to say, here's what happened. And okay, spoilers. Although I implore anyone, don't see this, so this isn't going to be a spoiler. It looks like there's one slasher in this film. It's the whole fucking frat, which, okay.
Oh, fraternity?
Yeah.
Oh,
now,
they're only good Christian boys. They don't do bad things.
Right. And, okay, so you have multiple people taking up the role of the slasher. That's still, I can get behind that. But what happens is, the guy who founded this college came out that he was very misogynistic 200 years ago. And so they tore down his statue, but the frat house kept it. Well, inside this statue, they find this black goo that almost looks like the symbiote that has his spiritual essence in it. His rapey spiritual essence. And so they do this, oh gosh, they do this ritual where they paint their eyes, their heads and everything with it, and then all of a sudden he possesses them and their eyes turn glowing red, and they go and they kill women that are becoming too, they have too many freedoms because this guy thought women shouldn't have had freedoms. And I'm like, what? How is this ever a supernatural movie? And I get you can throw a supernatural twist in things. They did it with Jason. They did it with Freddy. Freddy was more straight up than how Jason was. But they found a way for it to work. It got a little weird when they did it with Michael Myers. But this, just no build up. No build up at all. Just out of the fuck nowhere. And then the dialogue is so bad in this. To give you an example of how bad the dialogue is in this. Carrie Ells is the main villain. Ooh. He's the head of this fraternity. Ooh. A little old to be in college, but okay.
Okay.
A little old to be a frat boy. But as this all comes out and you have this big fight with the fraternity and like the women and everything like this, he utters lines like the one woman says, the one girl, she's like, you guys are monsters. He's like, we're not monsters. We're just men. Oh,
so it's the whole shame for having a dick thing.
It could be. I don't know how.
Yeah, keep that shit
I don't know how many people had their heads up their asses when they wrote this. They also have the, at the end, they're going to destroy the bust and the black goo and everything, and Carrie Ells is like, we're not saying women don't have their place, it's just their place is behind men. And I'm like, I don't even know anyone that speaks like this. Even older generations, I don't know anyone that speaks like this. And I'm like, so this isn't relatable. And then, right before she goes to break it, he's like, no, don't break it. She's like, you can't break us. Smash. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's so stupid. And the bad thing is, the movie that was originally going to get Worst Picture from us, Worst Movie, was Unplanned. The conservative anti-abortion movie that's written a lot like this, except for the supernatural twist, which I would have accepted that in that film because that would have just been fucking weird. But it's the same kind of dialogue where your main characters are intelligent, and anyone that doesn't have that ideology is written as stupid, evil people. And the reason that this won over that is, number one, that didn't really have a wide release, where this did. This got greenlit. This had talented people behind it that still went through with this. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm liberal myself, I expect my team to be more intelligent than that other way.
Wow.
And it's just, it It was so bad. So Black Christmas, worst movie of 2019.
All right, let's get on some good stuff. All right, games. Best game of 2019.
Best game of 2019. It's all you, man.
Borderlands 3. I'm going with Borderlands 3.
I'm going to have to agree with him because I let him and Kane pick which one won.
The shooting's good. The grind for gear is fun. The humor's a little goofy, but it's Borderlands. The humor's
Right.
going to be goofy. The 4 Vault Hunters are awesome. They're fun as hell to play with. I play as Mose in the mech, the chick in the mech. She's awesome. It also has a lot more of a consumer-friendly business model. There's just a season pass. It's crazy it's not a battle pass where you get a battle pass in order to unlock shit, and you have to keep playing till you get to the tip of the battle pass, which is goofy. It doesn't have loot boxes in it or really any microtransactions in it. Game of the year for me. Tons of fun, constantly diving into it. Penn and Teller are in it. And another reason why it takes Game of the Year, Ice-T voices a teddy bear. Ice-T voices an AI that put a teddy bear.
Motherfucking T.
Ice motherfucking T.
That's great. I've not played it, but I mean, like I said, I let you and Kane pick out the video game stuff. So if you guys say it's worthy of Game of the Year, I'm going to believe you. Personally, I voted for Resident Evil 2. But if Borderlands is that good, I'm going to have to give it a try.
I put down an indie game. There's quite a few good indie games. Disco Elysium, Valfaris. And I put down for best indie game, Blasphemous. Because it is a miserable, evil, vile, violent, gruesome. It's like take Castlevania, put it on steroids. It's like, let's say, Abbott from the black metal band Immortal made a fucking Castlevania roguelike. There you go. Well, Castlevania-like game. It's vicious. It's bloody. It all works for it. Great game. Worst game of the year.
Worst game of the year.
There's some good contenders, too.
There
That's
were.
what's sad. You could have Wolfenstein Youngblood, Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. This is the year that Bethesda decided we're going to just take a gigantic shit on Wolfenstein. Could do Wolfenstein Rage 2, which it's not bad, but it succumbed to AAA-itis. What else came out that was tremendous? Oh, Ghost Recon Breakpoint. There's that turd.
So, what did win worst game of the year?
Anthem. Had to be Anthem. Had to be Anthem. A game so bad that they abandoned their own roadmap.
The game that keeps on giving you shit.
Yeah. Here's the.
Okay.
I'm going to go into that to another segment on here. Speaking of the game that keeps giving.
Wait, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But explain why Anthem is worst game.
It's unfinished. There was a huge rush to get it out on time. They didn't have a whole lot of good ideas. It's very vanilla. There is some good elements to it. It's a games as a service game, of course. Some people Some people, it broke their fucking console.
That happened to Kane.
Yeah.
A game is bad. No matter how bad all the other games are, that one broke his console.
So they had a roadmap of content updates that they were going to release. They abandoned it because people were just so tired of the game. So, yeah, it's got to be Anthem.
And who made Anthem?
EA.
Go figure.
Yeah, but here's the thing. EA also made 2 good games this year.
They did, but EA has a track record of shit like this.
Yes. The biggest thing about it, what's so bad about it is BioWare did this. The people that did Mass Effect in Dragon Age, and this is what they came up with.
There you go.
Really sad.
All right. Now, wrestling match of the year. The guys that are going to be doing a wrestling show on this channel, we consulted them, and this is what they came up with. Best match of the year, Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes at AEW's Double or Nothing. It told the story that that WWE should have told back in 2015, 2016?
Yeah.
And dropped the ball with. There's a lot riding on this, even emotionally, with their father, Dusty Rhodes, having passed away, and still telling this match. And as brutal as that match was, without going into unbelievable realms of brutality, and they left everything in the match, and the hug at the end of the match between the two of them. I don't think anyone was watching that going, oh, I feel nothing. I think everyone's just like, damn. So there we have it. If you haven't watched it, I'm sure you can find it. If you're a wrestling fan, definitely check it out. Worst match of 2019 is...
Look, come on. We all know it's going to be Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell 2019.
Come on. That was a given.
Seth Rollins versus The Fiend. Chris, what made that match the worst of 2019?
I just never seen a Hell in a Cell match where it got stopped because it got too violent.
Yeah.
That is the metaphor for the WWE PG era. It got stopped because it was too violent.
He's not wrong about that. In fact, Hell in a Cell is supposed to be a brutal match. Whenever a wrestler announces, I want to face you in Hell in a Cell, the audience is like, oh man, this is going to get bloody.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any blood in this match. Well, no. Just hear me. Hear me out on this.
I hear
There wasn't any blood in this match, yet it was stopped for overwhelming brutality. And the reason why is because WWE booked themselves in a no-win situation.
Yeah.
They booked... The Fiend had just been gaining momentum since August. And here you are in October. You already put him in a title bout with Seth Rollins, who was supposedly at this point the number one babyface in the company, but they ran that into the ground.
Good work.
And so it's like, you're not going to take the belt off of Seth and give it to Bray, but you don't want to have the Fiend lose because you just repackaged him. He is a hit with the audience. What are you going to do? Well...
Shit the bed.
Shit the bed. They burned the fucking bed is what they did. Not only did they end this in saying, oh, it's too violent to continue, and I'm sure Mick Foley was like, where was that rule for me in 98 when I was thrown off the cell, through the cell?
So they stop it as Seth is hitting Bray with a hammer, but a smaller hammer than Bray was hitting Seth with all night.
Right. Now, but it wasn't just a straight hammer shot. He put something on top of Bray and hit that as if that makes it more brutal. I don't know. And the entire match, the lighting is red, so it makes it hard to see anyway, and the cage itself is red.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay, so the red cage thing, I will defend. I believe it's a plastic cage now instead of steel, so it's safer for the wrestlers. I get that.
Why is it red?
I don't know, but I get them trying to be safer. Here's my issue. It's a metaphor for why the PG era is bad. We'll walk up to this line, but we won't go. We'll do everything we can to avoid it. Here's the thing. Everyone bitches about the stupid shit that came out of the Attitude Era, and this is a problem that the WWE has now. The WWE has a problem now when it comes to ticket sales and ratings. You know what an Attitude Era never had a problem with? Fucking selling tickets and fucking ratings, okay? People watch their program. They're not creating an intense wrestling experience for wrestling fans. They're worrying about everyone else around it. A while ago, Mandy Rose got too much shit on Twitter because her as a heel character was trying to get in bed with a married man. That's her job. Her job as the bad guy is to do shit like that. If you don't get that, don't fucking watch wrestling. The job of a heel is to poke and pry and piss people off. So when the hero comes in and vanquishes the heel, it's cathartic. It's justice. You like that.
It's a feel-good moment.
If a heel can't go to those areas to get heat, it defeats the fucking purpose.
And The Fiend, being probably one of the most unique heels they've had in a while, being this supernatural but kind of serial killer-esque creepy monster, and the way he come out crawling with those eyes, and the mask and everything, it's such a good presentation. And for this to have been the payoff, which they corrected themselves later in the month because they saw just how many people were pissed.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been a surprise. But there's no way you could have a worse wrestling match in 2019.
So what country did they fix that problem with the Fiend where they dropped the title on them? Where were they at?
I'd rather not remember.
I'm sure they won't want to remember, especially after what happened afterwards.
Right. But there you have it. Hell in a Cell 2019. You can't get much worse than that.
All right. Best metal album of the year.
Okay. Best metal album of the year. We've had a year with a lot of good releases. There's been a lot of good music, not
Cattle
just mainstream,
Decapitation.
but, underground stuff as well.
Mayhem.
But I think for our money, the best album of 2019 has to be Sacred Reich's Awakening. They haven't made an album for 23 years. And they came back. The music doesn't miss a beat. I listened to the entire album. Mm-hmm. It's a shorter album. It's almost kind of like Slayer's Raining Blood. It's not an hour-long album, but it hits everything it needs to hit in that time. The precision and the speed, a little bit of the groove. And I will say, Phil's vocals have gotten better with age. Because my favorite Sacred Reich album was Ignorance. Mm-hmm. There still is Ignorance, but he has a more guttural voice in that. In this one, he's mixing in some high notes. He's a much better singer than he was. So that's amazing. The fact that these guys can thrash out like that after, being gone for 23 years is great. They got a new guitar player who is 23. So there you go. This album should have just been called 23. And the fact they're a political band too. And this year has given them a lot to work with. But instead of just doing your typical, this is why you guys are wrong, they're left-leaning.
Well, most metal is.
Yeah.
To anyone out there that doesn't think otherwise, you obviously haven't been listening for 20 years.
But instead of being like left versus right, he took a different approach and said, it's us, the 99%, and we're all being screwed by the top 1%.
Well, that's not a left and right thing. That's just the honest truth.
No, I know. Yeah. He zigged when you thought he'd zag. So there you go. Best metal album.
Worst metal album. Korn,
The Nothing.
Oh, that sounds just like their musical career the last 10 years. 10, 15 years.
I'm full disclosure, I'm not a Korn fan. Never been a Korn fan. Never got it. I had a roommate that loved Korn, and I could just not see what he was seeing. Having said that, even the Korn fans I know don't like this album. And when your hardcore base is sitting there saying, this isn't good, then I got to take them at their word that this isn't good.
Because they went from being 20 years old to 30 years old, and now they're listening to other shit. Right. Here's my thing. Korn hasn't released anything listenable since, I will give them the album after Follow the Leader, which had, and that was their peak, was Follow the Leader, that album. That song had Falling Away From Me on there. I don't think that song was that fucking good. But when they came out, they were doing things a lot of people weren't doing at that time. The crazy different tunings on their instruments, on their guitars, which is now standard place now in metal. Almost every band, death metal, black metal, are doing all kinds of alternate tunings. The 7-string thing, there's bands doing that now. They settled into, when they hit mainstream, they sat there and rode the mainstream, like...
So, yeah, I think Korn, I don't want to say their time has come and gone because I never gave them time. But even fans of theirs seem kind of tired of it now with this album. So, worst metal album 2019, Korn.
All right. Comic time.
All right. Best comic book moment of 2019 is the end of The Walking Dead. The fact that they were able to end it on their terms while it's still making a ton of money, and the show is, bringing in more and more new readers. Robert Kirkman decided it's right. I find it weird that they didn't make it to 200 issues. It was like issue 193. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, wow, I thought 200 would have been a good number to go out on. But having said that, the way they wrap it up is pretty good. I don't want to give too many spoilers away if you haven't read it yet, but it does a time jump. And you certainly get to see, what other characters went on to do. But the way it wraps up and the point it makes as it wraps up by saying it ends on a happy note. But it does kind of give a warning of this could all happen again if you're not careful. And the last shot of Carl with his daughter in a rocking chair, it's pretty peaceful. And that's not something you'd associate The Walking Dead with. So I have to hand it to them. They ended it, and they ended it right.
And the good thing about Image Comics is it's creator-owned, where you have a lot of other comics where basically, because they do other kind of merchandising stuff with characters, if a character dies, they're coming back. Walking Dead has shown, hey, they're not coming back. Well, they come back, but they don't come back the way that most people come back. And then when they come back and when they get put down, they stay down. But it's good to, and my thing is, I like the fact that this indie comic has had that much of an impact on pop culture. That it's done so well. Image is a pretty good comic book company. There's shit on there, but I mean, they're not having, Angela Queen of Hell wearing a T-shirt saying, "Ask me about my fucking feminist agenda."
Sure enough. Worst comic book moment of 2019 has got to be, there's a few that we were coming up with, but the more and more I think about this, I wanted to say the destruction of the Green Lantern Corps. I wanted to say that because I love the Green Lantern Corps, and I'm like, oh, we're going back to this shit again. We're going back to 1994 all over again. One that I think really surpasses that the more I think about it is the death of Alfred in the Batman comics. Now, we have established these characters hardly ever stay dead, but the fact that they killed off Alfred and the way they did it with Bane killing him, I mean, yeah, it added to the story and all, but do you know originally Alfred was going to come back in that same story, but they saw how the audience reacted, so they said, keep him dead.
I'm for characters being killed off for long periods of time and not coming back. My issue is Alfred is such a beacon of positive towards Bruce.
Bruce needs that guidance.
And to take him out like that, you have to keep that person not there from then on. It seems to me it ain't going to be permanent. And even if they bring him back,
then it's going to cheapen the moment too.
It will totally cheapen the moment.
It's just something that shouldn't have been done because Alfred's been a constant through everything. And to have him go out the way he did, I just thought, to me it was more of a let's shock the reader moment that got carried away. Then they're like, oh, it shocked him. Well, let's keep it up.
But DC's been batting pretty good this year with a lot of their comics.
I mean, for the most part, DC's been doing pretty well.
Black Label has had some pretty good stuff on there, which is the more mature line. I got Black Cat from Marvel recently. It's been good. We're coming into I think a bit of a resurgence where comic book writers are now just writing stories that they want and not going to Twitter and going, oh, somebody was offended by my big-breasted character. They don't care anymore, and they shouldn't. You shouldn't. If you're offended by big tits in comic books, you've obviously not been reading them for a while.
Then there was that side note. Okay, so moving on. This is interesting. We got a category called Scumbag of the Year. In a year that's given us a lot of scumbags.
Oh, yeah. It's been a good year for scumbags.
But one that has set above all else.
Can we discuss a potential contender for it?
Yeah, we can do a runner-up before announcing
this. Our runner-up, and the only reason why this guy doesn't take the cake is because the other guy just keeps getting in the fucking news. And after what he did, you probably should avoid being in the fucking news. Our runner-up was Onision. Child grooming, potentially child fucking Onision.
Maybe even a serial killer, I'm not sure.
Either way, I don't advocate for censorship at YouTube by any means, but if you have a person on that platform that's preying on kids, they need to fucking go. That's the issue.
Well,
he's potentially preying on
There you
kids.
go. Potentially. We don't want to do this right. Potentially preying on kids. Yeah, just sitting back and watching that thing unfold.
His meltdown was fucking hilarious.
His meltdown was so rehearsed.
Oh, but it's fucking funny. Some people have found a way to get that like auto-tuned, and somebody put it to somebody put his meltdown to "The Black Parade" by My Chemical Romance. Fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
I guess when an emo kid breaks down, they break down hard.
Fuck yeah, they do.
But our actual winner for Scumbag of the Year is George Zimmerman. Because how could it not be? You know, if you don't know what George Zimmerman did this year, let's tell you a little bit about it. Chris, what is he doing?
Oh, he's suing Trayvon Martin's family.
He's suing the family.
For $100 million.
Suing the family of the
$100
kid.
million.
Of the kid he killed.
I'm going to bring this up so everyone understands this. It's $100 million. There are people doctors who've delivered their kids. Okay, there are people who've had their kids delivered by doctors, and the doctor was high on crank or whatever, and they fucked up their kid for the rest of their life. That aren't getting $100 million. George Zimmerman doesn't even deserve a fucking third of it. Okay, just because he's an asshole. I'm not going to get into the whole debate on did he defend himself or not. Since he got acquitted, this motherfucker has been getting in news headlines for just being a dirtbag dickhead constantly. Typically, if you get away with killing somebody, be it self-defense or straight up murder, you want to take the Robert Blake approach and not get in the newspaper anymore.
No, in fact, he not only, he killed Trayvon. He put a picture of his body on Twitter.
Because he's a fucking... Oh,
and
God.
I maybe was surprised about how that didn't go over well. And then to raise money for Trump's candidacy, he sells the gun he killed Trayvon with, which he advertised the gun that killed Trayvon Martin.
This is not the actions of somebody that did this shit in self-defense.
This is not the actions of somebody with a soul. And then, after all the pain you've caused this family, to have the balls to sue them
for $100
for any amount.
million
For any amount.
dollars.
You shouldn't sue them for any amount.
It's a slap suit. That's what it is. It's what John Oliver was getting. It's a slap suit. And because fucking Hogan laid down the groundwork in that state for a slap suit to become legitimate.
He means Hulk Hogan, by the way.
Yeah.
For the Hulk Gawker.
They're thinking, Zimmerman and his lawyers are thinking they're going to be able to try that shit with Trayvon Martin's family. I doubt it'll work.
If he goes through with this...
Well, he's going to go through.
No, I mean, like, if he goes through with it and somehow wins... Then you go into witness protection and change your name. There's no way you're walking down the street.
If he wins $100 million first
from what? They don't have it. How's he going to get it?
It's the same kind of lawsuit Devin Nunes is suing on Twitter. And the worst part about the Nunes thing is he's an elected official, so he's basically stating, I should be able to sue you for criticizing me. No, First Amendment protects all of your critics, you fucking idiot.
But there you go. George Zimmerman, you're the scumbag of the year, burn in hell.
Bravo.
Now, for person of the year, the opposite of scumbag of the year, we came up with many titles that just didn't seem to work. Saint of the year, hero of the year. Just going to say person of the year. Someone to offshoot that. And this is going to be a bit controversial, but after thinking about it, the only one that really comes to mind for these reasons would be, and we don't even know who this person is, the whistleblower that started, this whole Donald Trump Ukraine impeachment thing. And the reason for that person being person of the year is they did something that they knew was going to be a shit show, but they felt so strongly that laws were broken. This is not the way the government should work. Agree with them or not, the courage it took to do this and to go through the proper channels, knowing that anytime someone's going to try to find out who you are, and throw you to the wolves, and they
And
still
throw you to the wolves, you would be thrown because they'll probably get killed.
and they still went through with it. I think that's a lesson for all of us. I mean, again, whether you agree with it or not, if you're in a position where you say, I think this is wrong, and I know there's going to be a backlash against me saying it's wrong and coming out, I think we can all learn from that.
No.
So that's why whoever the whistleblower is, he or she, they, I don't know, Person of the Year 2019.
Speaking of whistleblowing, Bill Clinton, he knew who was blowing his whistle.
Out of nowhere, that reference.
Hey, it's been memed a lot.
Out of nowhere for that 20-year-old reference. Which brings us to the facepalm moment of the year. That moment of the year that just makes you go, why? And I don't think we can think of anyone more deserving of this than
Bethesda Fallout 76 $100 a year pass. A $100 a year pass to get the rest of the fucking game, to get it up to, I don't know, some sort of working level. Fallout 76 has been an absolute dumpster fire the moment it was released, and it is a gift that has been giving. The only reason this game hasn't got worst game of the year and Anthem beat that out is because this game came out last year.
it came out last year and it's still fucking
It's
up.
still making the news. It's making more news than Anthem is with its broken gameplay and broken
so
promises.
not only do you got the $100 Game Pass for it, but they offer a scrap box that you can store stuff in.
That was eating the scrap.
And it's deleting the shit people are putting in. They're like, all the stuff I earned in the game just got deleted from this thing that you told me I get for paying $100. You're paying more money than the game is being sold for, and it's just deleting your stuff that you earned in the game.
$100.
And then one of the things they offer is, because I don't know if you're familiar with Fallout, if you're not, you get maps and everything like that. Personalized, not personalized, but private areas for you and your friends, for anyone who pays this $100.
Private servers.
Right, for anyone that pays into this.
They're not private.
They're not private. They found out people who haven't been spending the money on this have been getting into it. People have hacked it. And speaking of hacking, Chris, what happened with the latest hack in the game?
They added NPCs. And it broke the game.
Non-playable characters, because the game didn't really have those.
It didn't have non-playable characters originally.
And what did it do?
It broke the game.
It broke the damn game.
That is the update that's coming out soon. I can't wait. It's going to be entertaining to see what happens when they add the NPCs to the game. That is going to be fucking hilarious.
Oh, Bethesda. It just
makes me really, really, really worried for fucking Doom Eternal. It really does. That was when I saw the trailers for Doom Eternal. I'm like, this is going to be game of the generation. And then I started seeing what Bethesda did with Fallout 76, and my soul died. And again, I want everyone to remember. So they're also selling in Fallout now, like all kinds of gameplay advantages. They originally said their microtransactions were going to be only cosmetic. They're never only cosmetic. This is content that was originally supposed to be in the game when you spent your $60. They're stripping it out of the game for more money. They're fucking you. Wake up.
There you have it. I have nothing more to add to that.
Oh, I could go on about it for about an hour. It's fucking hilarious.
Okay. Best moment of 2019. There's been a few, not as many as I would have liked, but I think the one thing that we can agree, best moment, Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda has become such a icon at this point. No matter what your walk of life is, you've either posted a Baby Yoda meme, have watched The Mandalorian and thought Baby Yoda was cute, bought Baby Yoda merchandise. Baby Yoda has united people that weren't talking based on other things that they may have thought about. Like, yeah, that thing's cute. Then they start talking again. Baby Yoda's brought people together. Baby Yoda for President 2020.
There you go.
Chris, do you have anything to add to Baby Yoda?
I'm still stuck on the whole Fallout 76 dumpster fire. That's a fucking hoot.
But yeah.
Watching all the bad shit that have happened after that game's released is more entertaining than playing it.
Maybe, but, my wife is obsessed with Baby Yoda. I have friends obsessed with Baby Yoda. Mm-hmm. There you go. Baby Yoda, the best moment of 2019.
All right.
As for the worst moment of 2019, Chris?
Oh, Epstein. Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein's suicide.
Oh, come on. He obviously killed himself. He just twisted his own neck somehow. He was just like, oh, I want to die.
I mean, if you were surprised by Epstein's suicide, imagine how surprised he was.
What's so bad about the whole Epstein suicide, I'm sorry, is the fact that there's so many people, I bet, that were involved with that low life that make tons of money. Let's face the facts. Every rich asshole that knew him was sweating when he got arrested. Okay.
Epstein had, he knew things about kids that are being, still to this day, hurt.
Yeah.
That he could have blown the whistle on a lot of people, and that information died with him.
Yep.
So any form of justice that would come out to this bigger picture, sadly, right now is not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, it's the meme that keeps giving.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get right down to it, there were other pedophiles out there that now aren't going to be brought to justice. And that's what makes that the worst moment of 2019.
Yep. But, everyone saw it coming.
Well,
Except for Jeff.
Except for Epstein himself.
What, I'm going to kill myself tonight? I didn't know that. Yeah. I'm the guy to do it.
It's like, yeah.
Put him in the crossface crippler.
Wow. Wow. I'm not going to say too soon. I'm just going to say wow. No. So that was 2019 in a nutshell. And I mean that in the fullest way possible. That it's been a nutshell of a year. Unfortunately, we got one more thing to talk about that happened in 2019 on a more personal level to us. A friend of ours by the name of Aaron Insminger sadly passed away New Year's Eve day. Aaron, we wanted to actually bring him into the channel at some point. Aaron was a funny guy, did a lot of stand-up. He also did a lot of inline skating. I'm sure if you Google him, you could find out just like all the accomplishments he did. I'm not too familiar with the skating world, but I think he was actually in the X Games.
I know when I was in high school, because I was the skateboarder that hung out with a lot of rollerbladers. He was considered one of the best. It was him and Scotty Counts. Those are the two best inline rollerbladers in our area of Hilliard. Everyone said that those two were hands down the best. I went to a skating thing with Scotty Counts years ago. Guy that lived by us, lived in Springfield. He had a bunch of ramps and shit. It was an awesome time. I knew Aaron more so through you. When I was in HI, we were constantly hanging out at your place. Aaron was around there. Funny times.
Yeah, Aaron he's definitely a funny guy. Back in those times we were talking about, we randomly got a phone call one night. And it sounded like a bunch of teenage girls at a slumber party decided to dial some random number, which happened to be mine, to prank call us. And immediately he's like, hand me the phone, and turned their plan on its side. I think had a lot of them just wishing they had never picked up that phone in the first place. Yep. It was hilarious, at least from our end.
Yep.
I'm sure he had some of the girls crying, but just the jokes he was making, he was just so spot on with that. He actually went to Comic-Con with me and a couple other friends. It's way back in 2004, and he disappeared. And we're like, where'd Aaron go? And we found him at the bar with Robert Zadar, Maniac Cop, just doing shots with very drunk Robert Zadar. And I'm like, well, of course. It's so random, it makes sense at this point. Mm-hmm. Just a very quick-witted, very full of energy. He loved life. And if you go to his Facebook page, and it was that love for life that just had a lot of people drawn to Aaron. And I think that's what we'll always remember about him. So, Aaron, wherever you are, thanks for the memories.